Principium correspondentiae. Sicut supra ita infra. Sicut intra ita extra. Just as it is above, so it is below. Just as it is within, so it is without. The principle of correspondence teaches us that as within, so without. That as within our inner world is, so our outer world is. But that is only because how it is below in physicality, on this lower plane of existence, so it is above in metaphysicality, the causal planes. You see, the thing is, the universe is infinitely layered. But that's okay. It's kind of scary, but we can understand this. I'm here to help you out. My name is Jaden. I'm a 22-year-old polymath, and I'm a metaphysical advisor for statesmen, executives, for religious leaders, as well as for institutions, government bodies at large, enterprises, and other institutions that would like to hire the guild services. And I'm a metaphysical advisor, and I'm an interior translator. And what that means is, better than anything, I know the first principles and the first causes. And I wanted to lead here with that because what I've really come to understand over my 17 years of observing the universe, I've always just liked to watch how things move, you know? I've always liked to ask how things are and why they are. And I've always loved to love, and I've always loved to give, and I've always loved to understand. And then I learned metaphysics. And 2 years ago, I was taken. But I didn't just learn metaphysics, I lived it. And I saw what the interior sciences can give to you when you realize that they're not just cute abstract ideas, but they are the very principles of transformation. And if you're someone who wants to transform, if you're a lever, if you're an institutional leader, if you're a fellow visionary, you want to transform the world. But not just the world, because you understand that before anything you could do outside of yourself, you first have to do within yourself. You understand that? Well, I'm here to tell you that's because you have the same causal power to create reality as the creator, as the one infinite creator, as the source, as God. Now, we're not going to get into any ego trips here. I'm not telling you you're God or that you have God's power. Okay, that's foolishness. These spiritual motherfuckers be tripping, okay? You are a fractal of the source. You are a being which corresponds to the creator. But the thing is, you aren't just of the creator, you are of the creation of the creator. You are of the universe. And you know, this is one of the very interesting things about this polarized existence. You know, unless you're like a real nerd like me, you haven't done enough contemplation as to why so much paradox exists, and why so many different kinds of paradox exist. And the thing is, it's because contrast is the very fabric, it's the very engine of transformation. Contrast isn't just the thing that drives transformation, It's how transformation is even possible. And we understand this from our polarized perspective. Your eye can't see itself. Your tooth can't bite itself. A knife can't cut itself. Fire can't burn itself. Here in this polarized universe, we experience contrast as necessity for truly understanding. You know, it's almost always more helpful to explain something by saying what it is not, rather than saying what it is. You know, the ontology question of like, well, what is it? Yikes. You know, we like to talk about things, but like, most of us can't answer that one. But it's like, but what is it though? It's like, yeah, you're talking about how it moves and how it behaves and how it acts. You might even be talking about how it thinks, how its intelligence moves, its mechanics. No. That's not what I asked though. What is it? And you know, this is the thing that like, basically nothing but interior science will actually give you this answer. And unfortunately, you can't get this answer from someone else. I can sit here and tell you it, sure. But the thing about interior science is that it's observable and it's measurable, for sure. And tons of sages and mystics and philosophers and scientists and other people and artists have done this. And I'm not some guy talking about new things on the internet. All this shit has been known for millennia. Do you know what I'm saying? I just am looking fly as fuck doing it, and I'm articulating it in a way and so the digital renaissance can really hear it. And I'm building shit, because I like to build stuff. Feel what I'm saying? I'm just a synthesizer standing on the shoulder of giants, who's also done a lot of contemplation of his own, and has some new things to share as well. But really, the thing is, the universe has always shown us the same principles, because the universe doesn't fucking change in terms of what the universe is and how its mechanics move. However, how those mechanics express and the creations of the universe expressing, well, those things are all unique, as is the creation of all things from the one. Because God is infinite. And that infiniteness desires to know its own infiniteness and truly experience its own infiniteness when I say that. Because really, knowledge and experience, knowledge and love are one reality in God, one reality in the Creator, one reality in the infinite. And the thing is, we understand this as well from our polarized perspective. This is why correspondence is so important. Because the thing is, we can't, like, I can't fill a cup up and be like, hey, here's God, bro. That's not how it works. You know what I mean? And like, everyone tries to do this in their own way. You know, science tries to do it in their way, and religion and philosophy and even art and even, you know, just like all systems of thought and expression try to fill up the infinite in their own way and put form around the infinite and be like, yo, this is it. And I'm like, yo, guys, I'm with you. But then some people be like, but this is the only way we got that. This is the only way we can have that. This is the only possible reality. And it's like, come on, dog. Do you know what I'm saying? By definition, the infinite can't be constrained by form, by finite constraints or boundaries. If it would, they would be finite. When we study the universe at large and the creations of the universe, because the thing is, the universe isn't a material thing we can study. You know what I mean? Like, as aren't like minds. Do you understand? Like, all you can really do is look at behavior and ask questions long enough. This is why, like, science and philosophy should always be making love at all times. Because science is beautiful and is very important, right? Like, I'm an interior scientist. But we often look at what measuring behavior is, or like telling me like how something operates, and being like, oh, but that's what it is. It's like, no. Like, if I say like, what is force? The definition of force is, in physics, a push or a pull. It's like, no, but that's like movement though, that's behavior. Like, what is force though? It's like, who the fuck knows, bro? Like, well, I don't know. You know what I'm saying, dog? And so it's like, as much as we can love science for how things move, which is amazing. No, I love it. Science can only do that, and at best point us to what is. But it's never really going to get us there. And we need philosophy to ask those questions, and we need experience. And in my opinion, this is where mysticism comes in, as like a very critical aspect of like interior science. Like, if you're not actually like living the interior science, like, that's what mysticism is. Conscious awareness of your oneness with reality, with God and with the universe. And that you correspond both to the oneness of God, of your ontology, the oneness of the source, and all things that come from that, the truth that you have inside of you, that you are, the love that you are. But also the realities that polarity and that the universe comes in with. Like, this finite expression, like this need for understanding contrast to expand. This constant pattern of like, north and south pole, boom, greater electromagnetic field. Man and woman, boom, family unit, child. Form, flow, coming together to create something different, to create a greater field, a greater unified field. This is the same principle happening across different levels, corresponding. Because the thing is, everything that happens in this polarized universe works through this operation, through these mechanisms of polarity. It's pretty cool, actually, in my opinion. And honestly, simply by putting your awareness on these mechanics, when you see them playing out in the universe, is all you need to truly start seeing and getting like enough data of it. And honestly, for me, it's like, once you get to the point of having enough data, it becomes too inevitable for you to not align with, and for it to not start transforming you from that place. Because the thing is, the universe was always moving, always shifting, always transforming anyways, right? Like, this was like, who's making this river move right now? You know what I mean? It's just, like, some people will say the principles of physics, right? And so, I actually agree with that, guys. I'm just saying the principles of metaphysics are first. Because that's what they are. Like, the thing is, the first Hermetic principle, we talked about this, in the last video, of mentalism, that all things first come from mind. We can't get into how creations move if we don't first understand, like, what is creating the creation. Like, what is that isness that the other thing comes from? Like, what first cause is leading to these other effects? Because we know cause and effect is the universe. Every reaction comes with an equal and opposite reaction. Like, we understand that when we put out, we get back. The Eastern mystics called this karma. And in Judeo-Christian wisdom, sowing and reaping. It's the same principle of the universe, corresponding. Just as it is above, so it is below. Like, the current translation of that Hermetic axiom is more like that which is above is like that which is below, or something like that. Or it's that which is above is like that which is below. Or as above, so below. Right? As within, so without. And these are powerful, but not as powerful as, like, the Latin that was really at the core of like the Hermetic texts in like bursting on the scenes in the Renaissance time period throughout the 13th through 15th centuries. The Greek and the Latin, which was what they were reading, was more of what I read you in the beginning, which is sicut supra ita infra, sicut intra ita extra. In Latin, sicut doesn't just mean like as or so. It is just like this is. It's an as, but it's a this is the same nature, or this is moving the same way. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's directly a word for correspondence. Sicut, supra, that which is above, superior, higher, so to speak. Ita, so. Infra, inferior, lower, below. Just as it is above, so it is below. Or, sicut infra, ita supra. Just as it is below, so it is above. And then there's also sicut intra, ita extra. Just as it is within, so it is without. And this is, that's really the whole teaching. Like, just those two. Just those two axioms are enough wisdom for a lifetime. Just as it is above, so it is below. Just as it is within, so it is without. And the reason that those two axioms are all you really need for understanding the principle of correspondence and the infiniteness that lies in it is because those two are the complete mechanism for alchemical transformation. Just as it is above, so it is below, shows that you and that which is higher, so like you could say, you can look at this however, right? Atoms work the same way, right? We could see ourselves as higher species than atoms, but like atoms work the same way. Proton, electron, neutrons, atoms. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is how life works. This is how polarity works. This is the erotic transformation. You know what I mean? Principle. Eros. Oh man. Aristotle said, when the first mover moves, it moves as the beloved. The beloved being goodness and beauty. The erotic principle that pulls, that moves us, that inspires us, that drives us towards becoming, towards greater union being created from this polarity. And the thing is, when you understand that that happens within your very being, when you bring your own inner polarity together, how flow and form move through you, how activeness and receptiveness move through you, how radiance and gravity move through you, how those are inside of you. I can help you do those things, by the way. My services are available. When you understand that, you have this like cheat code into understanding how transformation operates within you, and then it helps you unlock so many more things. And like I said, I don't just talk about this metaphysics stuff. Like I live it. And as I've truly like switched into founder operator mode with Scriptōrium in the last 12 weeks, I've realized that the calling that I've always felt as like a 6-year-old kid, wanting to like have a business that changes the world and wanting to be a thinker and a scientist and a performer and all of these different things that I've always known, wanting to make change and governance and always feeling like I could, but always being too scared because I never wanted to lose myself to the game. I've realized that everything that I've gathered over this time, over the last 15 years since that kid was 6, or I guess 17, whatever. Oh no, I was right, 15. 16. The math is not mathing right now, bro. Anyways, ever since that time, I've learned that everything that you are and that you've always desired, and everything that you feel so pulled to and called to, those were always the things that you were meant for and that were meant for you. And the problem is, we've been so busy listening to everyone and everything in the world instead of listening to our hearts. And because of that, we've betrayed ourselves. We've betrayed our inner knowing. And I found that when you learn that the reason you betrayed yourself wasn't because you were truly worth betraying yourself for. It wasn't because you were lacking. It wasn't because you were unworthy. It was because there was something inside you that wanted to burn so bright and the people around couldn't handle the heat. And so you dimmed it off instead of removing yourself from those people. Instead of staying as hot and as beautiful that you are, you decided to cool the embers. Maybe even let them go out completely. And I've been in here. And I learned that when you learn that reality's very engine of transformation wants to enact itself through you as the things you love and desire, and that your unique desires are a part of that equation, are part of that very erotic love story of the universe. The cosmic love story, if you will. It opens you up to realizing that you can say, oh, okay, everyone was wrong. Fuck all you guys. And you still cry for your previous self, and you still grieve, and you still feel the pain of being closed off at times because you feel like you had to be. I still live with those things. It's a process. But what you get is a radical freedom in your creativity, in your spirituality, in your sexuality, all those being through different expressions, the main expressions of the erotic principle moving through you. How you want to create and transform and inspire, how you want to build and how you want to love, how you want to inspire, how you want to transform, and really ultimately all of that being how you want to grow and how you want to change the world. You find this radical freedom in your unique desires because you realize that the universe wanted those unique desires. That everyone and everything in the universe is inherently unique, inherently a different product of unique things coming together, inherently a different set movement throughout space-time. Not necessarily set, but a different set of steps. I kind of like to see the universe and our psycho-spiritual development within it as a mountain with an apex. And there's infinite starting points at the bottom of the mountain. And some paths are going straight up, and some are kind of going like, maybe like a little zigzag on the way in. Some paths are going like spiral and shit, and some paths are going like, ooh, 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 and we're like going crazy. We're really having a good time with that one. That feels like mine. But there's infinite paths to knowledge. There's infinite ways to love. And that very infiniteness being expressed within differentiation and uniqueness within that differentiation is the point. It's not something that shouldn't exist because it doesn't feel like it fits in with the rest of the collective. No. It's something that needs to have a different collective. If there are people who don't want you to burn, and burn very bright and very beautifully, you shouldn't say, oh, okay. You should say, fuck you. Because all they're doing is projecting how they live their life or how they see right and wrong. But who cares about them? Because at the end of the day, they're not going to live their life for you. They're not going to take your pains for you. They're not going to make your desires happen for you. So it's like, really, if they don't want better for you than you want for yourself, which is very unlikely. I want better for you than you want for yourself. So I'm going to tell you the truth. You shouldn't listen to them. Because for me, this is a cosmic game. This is about the human race flourishing on a way and at a level that it never did before. That's the game I'm playing. And I'm playing it for a real long time. Remember I told you I'm 22? Yeah, I'm playing this game for at least 60 years. I already got the whole vision mapped out. You know what I'm saying? I'm on this for the long haul. Because at the end of the day, there's work and it's got to get done. And that's what Scriptōrium's about. That's what the guild's about. When you understand that everything in the universe is a product of corresponding to the universe, and the universe is ultimately corresponding to the creator, just in a different way. Like, we're all creation, and there's creator, there's the first cause, the first principle, the unmoved mover, and there's that which flows from that place. And we are all products of the unmoved mover. And so we all have inside of us that ontology that reflects the creator, but we also have this unique polarized existence that comes from our correspondence to the universe as creation, and the universe as polarized, the universe as a temporal evolving unit or being. The universe is alive, baby, as nature is. I found that the more you study people, the more you study systems, the more you live and you build as well, the more you study the universe and you understand your own relationship with creation and with creator, you unlock self-knowledge and knowledge of the universe that allows you to apply that knowledge to unique transformation, to unique building. And that's the thing, that's ultimately what we want to do, right? We want to transform ourselves and transform the world. That's what we want as visionaries, that's what we want as builders, that's what we want as lovers, that's what we want to do as people that have something that burns inside of us that we gotta give to the world so they can see it. And so instead of holding ourselves back, we have to continue on. And oftentimes continuing on can feel hard when we feel like there's no one around us continuing with. But the thing is, there's always so much more than you know. Right here at your fingertips. I found that like 3 deep breaths often do a pretty good job in any moment. The presence of God is truly closer to you than you are to yourself. And I feel like we often forget that because we're so caught up in the motion. But when we have that understanding, we have that gnosis, that true knowledge, those times where we remember, it's like, let me just retrain my perception back on the infinite, back on truth, back on love, back on growth, back on service, back on loving myself and loving others. And I found that that's really the game that matters. As long as you can pick yourself back up and keep retraining back on the first principles, the first values, and how those things want to live inside of you and move outside of you into the world. Everything else feels so much freer and so much lighter. Not to say it isn't still heavy. It is. But you knew that wasn't going to change anyway. I just want to give you the permission to not feel like it has to be weight that you're only carrying yourself. Because really, it's not. The universe was really always transforming, with or without you. But you do have an important role to play. Think of yourself as jumper cables. Like there's that which generates electricity, there's the jumper cables that route it, and there's that which receives the electricity. See where we're going with this image? It's not to say that the jumper cables aren't an important part of this equation. We got to route it from there to there somewhere. I mean, somehow. But we're not asking jumper cables to generate electricity out of thin air. You get what I'm saying? You're not here to make up any love or make up any transformation. That already exists infinitely and in abundance. You just got to be open so that it can move through you properly. And like I talked about in mentalism, when you open your awareness constantly and you're constantly expanding your awareness, but also expanding your heart. That was very important. I didn't talk about that then, but expanding what your nervous system can really hold, your emotional capacity, just as much as your intellectual capacity. Not just as much you can understand about, the universe or even about people, but how much can you really act with people and love people? How much can you really love yourself from that place? How much can you really maneuver differently in social dynamics? A lot of people like to talk shit, but they're not changing in those social dynamics. They're still blowing up at people. They're still cursing people out. Like, come on, bro. What's up? I thought I was love. Why are you tripping? That which is above is like that which is below. And that which is within is just as that which is without. That which is above is just as that which is below. And that which is within is just as that which is without. Correspondence helps us, one, study the universe and understand it from different levels without being able to directly observe it with physical tools or something, And it helps us understand ourselves better and how to maneuver better. And it also gives us the creative power to understand that if we want to change that which is without, well, first we have to change that which is within. It was good. Diamond, signing out.